While October 2025 brings some fantastic new releases to the gaming world, it's also the month where an iconic franchise in gaming is given its due. We're talking, of course, about Mortal Kombat Legacy Kollection, an anthology of the franchise's early hits and, well, a few flops, that is set to showcase its history and bring it all into the spotlight once again. With a host of nifty features and a long list of games, Legacy Kollection is sure to have caught your eye if you're a fan of Ed Boon's fighting titles. Whether you've been a fan of the franchise's early days or have just hopped onto the bandwagon with Mortal Kombat 1, this one is sure to give you something to like. But is it worth your time and your money? Well, that's what we're here to help you answer. With these details, you may want to know before you decide to pick up a copy. So let's jump in. Lots of combat to take on. There's a solid roster of games for you to dive into, making this one a dream come true for Mortal Kombat fans. You get to play Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero, a title we never thought that we'd see again, Mortal Kombat 4, Mortal Kombat Special Forces, Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, and Mortal Kombat Advance. It's a great way for Digital Eclipse to bring the best of the franchise from across a variety of consoles over the years into a single, convenient package for fans to enjoy. Additions to make gameplay a tad more forgiving. One of the new features being brought to the table is the Rewind ability, which lets you go back a few seconds in the event that you make a mistake or hit a wrong button. It's slated to make players who may not be used to the franchise's hard-hitting difficulty still feel like they're able to make progress in the games that they're playing. It can be quite useful in titles like Mythology Sub-Zero, which was widely criticized for its challenging difficulty among, well, other things. Pull off those fancy moves easily. Performing finishers or special moves in Mortal Kombat wasn't as easy back in the day as it is now. There were complicated input strings that you'd have to write down and memorize before attempting them, a facet of the experience that a few franchise veterans might be missing thanks to NetherRealm's more streamlined approach since MK9. However, Legacy Kollection gives you the option to display complicated input strings on screen as you fight, letting you easily check out what you need to hit in the heat of the battle. It's a welcome addition to the game and is sure to have many players appreciating just how difficult things used to be back in the day. Practice makes perfect. Another addition to the game is a trainer mode that lets you try out new characters and master their movesets in peace without having to worry about staying alive against vicious opponents. It's a great way to move past your main character and try out a few others. We can't all be Scorpions and Sub-Zeros now, can we? Fatality training. Aside from brushing up on your fighting moves, Fatality training lets you practice dealing your more brutal moves after a fight to kick off the franchise's iconic finishing moves. You're going to be ripping and chopping up your opponents quite frequently once you get the hang of how to pull off the best and most vicious finishers in your move list. Peek behind the creative curtain. Legacy Kollection also includes a lot of exclusive content like interviews, an interactive documentary that lets you learn more about the franchise's origins and its evolution over the years, snippets from Ed Boon and John Tobias spread out over an interactive timeline, and so much more. It's a great way to pay homage to a franchise that has been a mainstay in the fighting genre and has even managed to spread out into other entertainment media. We can't wait for the new movie to come out after all. Online play with rollback netcode. Diving into a quick versus match or joining a lobby is going to be quite seamless in Legacy Kollection, with Digital Eclipse bringing rollback netcode to the title to ensure that you're always in the thick of the action, even if your opponent is miles away. There are a bunch of matchmaking options, as well as cross-gen play which can let you play against your buddies even if you're on older generations of consoles. There's even stat tracking for those of you who like to dive into how well you've been doing against talented opponents, and that's quite a nice touch in our book. Choose your edition. Aside from a standard edition, those of you who would like to purchase physical copies are in for a treat if you have a little bit of extra cash. The deluxe edition comes complete with a steelbook, a slipcover, a magnet and poster, cards, arcade flyers, and mini marquees. The Collector's Edition takes things up a notch, adding a very cool controller holder in the form of Goro alongside a host of additional goodies that make it a very attractive, albeit expensive option based on the platform that you're purchasing it for. Local multiplayer. It wouldn't be Mortal Kombat unless you get to dive into it with your friends from the couch. Local multiplayer joins online play, allowing you and your buddies to enjoy a bit of nostalgia while tearing each other to shreds, all from the comfort of your gaming room. Get ready to bust out your best moves when the game hits the shelves. CRT filters. If you're looking to really dive into the nostalgia factor, well, there's some good news. Legacy Collection gets the option to enable CRT filters, bringing the classic scan lines of the original releases to the table to let you experience them just as you, well, remember them in all of their retro glory. Add some music into the fray. There's also a compilation of some of the franchise's most iconic soundtracks in the Legacy Collection, giving you the option of listening to tunes that can take you right back to the franchise's arcade days. While it's unclear if you can play those tracks in the middle of a fight, it's still a solid addition to a title that's aimed at recreating the look and feel of the earliest titles in its history. Secret characters at your fingertips. If you've played some of the games that are being included in Legacy Collection back in the day, you probably shudder at the thought of jumping through hoops to unlock hidden characters. The unlock requirements for some of them were so specific and challenging to pull off that it could take a few hours to gain access to a character you just really want to play. However, Digital Eclipse has added the option to instantly unlock all characters without having to satisfy those elaborate requirements, an option that could save you a lot of time and some effort. MK Gold's absence explained. While many fans were disappointed to learn that the Sega Dreamcast enhanced port of Mortal Kombat 4 was not going to be a part of the new title, Digital Eclipse's Dan Amrich has since stated that it was definitely considered but ultimately scrapped owing to variables beyond the studio's control. He went on, however, to state that there was the possibility of DLC being added to the game, and speculations about MK Gold being among its additions continue to make the rounds. We take that news with a pinch of salt, however, but it is nice to know that the title did receive its due in some form. A few more iconic titles in the pipeline. While Legacy Collection does bring the best OG titles in the franchise's history to the table, games from the PS2 era and of course Mortal Kombat 9 are notable omissions. The studio has commented that it was focused on telling the franchise's story over the years and that its selection of games were logical additions. That implies that we could be seeing some of the best titles in later years making their way to the collection either as DLC add-ons or perhaps in their own anthology in a second volume of the games. The Switch 2 version. For those of you considering picking up a physical version for your Switch 2, you'll be pleased to know that it's not a game key card, but contains the full game without the need of additional downloads. You're going to get to dive into the action as soon as you can once you get your hands on a copy. And that's a wrap on everything that you need to know about Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection ahead of its October 2025 release. Are you going to be enjoying this blast from the past? And which one of its titles are you the most stoked to play?
And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at Gaming Vault, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.